guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is CharissaSealey, and on this channel I make content all about faith, love, and lifestyle. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. So if you guys ready, I definitely ready. Lowy. So guys, welcome back to another video. Yes, I'm back in my room. As I would have mentioned on my stories, for those who would have seen, I was having a little bit of technical issues. The first time around, so this is actually my second attempt at recording this video on a separate day, and I really pray that everything works out this time, but all glory belongs to God at the end of the day. And I just give it over to him, and whatever he sees fit to make it to the final cut, let his will be done. And so I'm just really trying to be open to the move of the Spirit and what he wants me to talk about, what he wants me to kind of discuss with y'all, and how we just gonna take this one step at a time. Alright? Bet. So let's go. Today's topic, I want to talk about spending quality time with God. And for the last couple of weeks, I made an intentional decision to read my Bible, to pray, read my Bible, and study his word every single day. So this is not to say that I don't study the Bible and blah 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 blah. Obviously you guys know that I do, but on a consistent basis every single day. And the thought process behind this was that I was continuously going into new days with yesterday's enlightenment, with yesterday's blessings, with yesterday's outpouring of the Spirit. And while life happens, I said, you know what, the master of my life still deserves time, even on the busiest days, the days that you may have emergencies. And this is not for me, I don't want y'all to take this in the way of, okay, I'm coming down on y'all, or it's not me trying to be like, if you don't do it exactly like this, or if you don't do it every day, then you're a bad Christian, or you're not a believer, blah 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 blah. But I truly believe that, given the time that God has provided us, we need to manage it better. And it's a hard thing to swallow. There's always grace, and I'm so grateful for that, because I couldn't live this life without grace. But that doesn't mean that we can't put our best foot forward every single day, because he knows our hearts. And in those days when we just really having a hard time, God could pop into us in the simplest ways that would give us a push to go further. But I just believe, especially in this climate, we really need to be firm and consistent in our studying of the Bible. I was watching a video earlier on, and it was talking about, because I have recently gotten into studying theology and understanding doctrine in a different way, in a deeper way, I suppose. A more intellectual breakdown of how everything works, and the understandings that we have come to of scripture and so forth. But the most powerful thing that I've discovered is, while God cares about that aspect of our lives, he cares more about our hearts. And so really, me trying to spend time with him every single day is more of me just trying to show God how much I love him and I need him, and I want to spend time with him. Because if you love someone, if you want to get to know someone, because you think you're interesting, you think they're cool, you think they're smart, or whatever the case is, you want to surround yourself with them all the time, because you're like, anytime I'm around this person, my day gets better, my life is brighter. And even in the darkest hours, I feel like this person really is a lighthouse that's just kind of leading me home. And so for me, that is what God is in my life. I have experienced so much internally, and my parents always talk about this, mainly my mom, how she could always see when the wheels turning in my mind, because I'm always thinking of something. So I process things a lot in my mind, and it can be so overwhelming. And the only person who ever understands me 100% of the time is Jesus. And so that's why I wanted to spend more time with him, getting to know him more, falling more and more in love with him. Because when I do that, it just, it literally makes everything better. I don't know why I'm feeling so emotional. Oh my goodness. But it's just that he's been so consistent in my life, even when I don't feel him. You know, as the song says, even when you don't feel him, he's working. Even when you don't see him, he's working. He never stops. He never stops working. It's literally that, and knowing and trusting in that promise that God would never leave me nor forsake me has been that thing that has kept me solid, point blank and period. Like nothing else compares to him, literally. Like nothing else. And in a few, and in my video I talk about God is still good, where I was having a little hard time in terms of wanting to put out content and all those things. I think the meat of the matter there is just that, he loves me, he cares for me, and if no one else sees anything great or good or worthy in me, he does, and that's all that matters. And so why not spend quality time with him, right? Okay, so I want to answer two major questions here, right? The first one is, what does quality time with God mean, and why is quality time with God important? So you can put those two things, those two questions to be answered. So the first one, what does quality time with God mean? And so I have it written down here. That's why you would see me like looking down every now and again. I'm referring to that. One is the intentional quiet time. For me, I said it's intentional quiet time with God, where we pray, read his word, meditating on it, studying his word and topics related to it with no unnecessary distractions. And so it's just pouring yourself over his word. It's having a moment of silence where you connect to him, you pray, and you go to his word for a message for today. And the tricky thing about this, right, what I don't want us to get tied up with, is feeling that a message today means that every day you're gonna feel like bap bap bap, like God do something mighty, like you're gonna feel like mind blown every single day. Because that's not my reality. It may be your reality, and that's great for you guys, but I don't want you guys to feel as though that means that is the only way that you know for sure God is moving. Because me consistently spending quality time with him shows up the most when I'm not expecting it. When something comes up and a word that I read a few days ago comes back to me, and I'm comforted in that moment, or I feel justified in that moment. I don't look for my justification from outside, but from him. And it's in those low moments truly where I feel and see him so clearly. So that's one thing that I really want us to know and to take note of, right? The last thing I said is that with no unnecessary distractions, and this is a big part. This is a big part for remind. This is a big point for me, because I'm someone who, I'm like a sponge. I go through life and I would just observe people. Like, I can talk, but I spend a lot of time just being quiet and looking and seeing and reading and listening to what is happening around. And it's like when I open my mouth, you'll be like, but girl, what kind of FBI vibe you on? Like, where you get all this intel from? And it's just like, I was just paying attention, just listening. But the thing with that is having so much information in my mind and just always just buzzing through and flowing through my body. It's easy for me to get distracted. It's easy for my mind to wander when I try to have quiet times. And you see this more because you only have quiet times with a movie, you focus on the movie, right? It grabs your attention. Even if you're reading a book, and it will grab your attention. But when you decide you want to spend quality time with God, and a part of that means, just being quiet, praying and reading his word, all of a sudden your mind starts to wander. And so for me, I experience that happening a lot. And so with that being said, I realized I had to be so intentional about what I was feeding myself before, during and after spending quality time with God. So because I started taking note of what was the random thoughts that were coming into my mind. What was the thing that I was instantly remembering while reading? What was the thing that my mind was gravitating to? And usually it would be some video that I watched, some meme that I saw, and this and that and the other. And that's not to say that you can't have time online and you can't have time watching videos and just getting a laugh and this and that. It doesn't mean every single thing that you watch has to be quote unquote Jesus centered. That's the only way I could put it at this point in time. But it does mean that you can't be watching stuff that is going to make your heart filthy, your mind filthy, and you think it's just entertainment. It's just a song. It's just a movie. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's just a video. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's just one curse word in the movie, like one curse word. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. And so this is something that I'm still working on, to be quite honest, right? So I don't want you to think like, oh yeah, you get up together, boom, bang, bang, the other. No, I'm still working on this, but I realized that your mind, because we have an intentional and all-powerful God, is so amazing at the things that it absorbs that we cannot take it for granted that the things that we're watching does not seriously affect how we live our lives on a day-to-day basis and how we spend time with God, how we relate to God. That would be ignorant for us to think that all the crap that you watch during the day, and sorry to sound so brash, but like myself included, all the crap that I watch throughout the day is not going to filter into me studying the Word of God. Like, I cannot separate my being, right? So I cannot see Carissa from 8 to 4 could do all of this, and then from 5 to the rest of the day is, like Jesus girl. I can't do that. It will filter into each other. And while there's the exception to every rule, for me personally, I have learned that if I don't have God as my number one priority every single day intentionally, it is super easy for other elements to slip in and start like causing mayhem in my mind and in my life. And so that's why I'm saying, like, when you want to have quality time with God, we cannot have distractions. Yes, something might happen, an emergency may come up, family might need you all of a sudden, or whatever the case is. But for the most part, we need to be super intentional about locking into this zone, locking into this time where we like reading scripture, we're going into His Word. And right now I'm reading Ephesians and saying, Lord, what are you trying to say? What are you saying to me here? Or what were you saying to the people at this point in time? And how does that translate for me in this moment in my life? It's literally like, okay, I need to be 100% locked in. And I cannot be 100% locked in if I'm thinking about that last show that I watched, that I binge watched or something like that. And so for each person it may differ, right? And that's why it's really important for us to know ourselves. But the only way we can really know ourselves is if we know God. So it's that kind of like circle of life. Like, the more we chase God, the more we know God, the more we discover ourselves, the more we recognize our weaknesses, especially in comparison to His greatness, to His splendor, and how much we need Him, and how much we have to be so precise with our living. We are not anyhow people, right? And however it hang its swing. If you're from Trinidad, you know what I'm talking about. That's something that we say. And however it hang its swing, and however it work out. Like, whatever happens. But while that is okay for small instances, and for us not to like be tripping up too much about every single situation that happens in life. It's like, relax yourself, it will work out. We cannot take that same mentality or that same process for when we want to spend quality time with God, for when we want to develop that relationship with God. And I'm saying all of these things, and it's not the easiest journey, but when I say it's not the easiest journey, it's like I have really great days, I have good days, and I have not so good days, right? I don't want to say I have bad days, because every day is an opportunity for me to learn something. And so even in the day where I'm like, maybe I didn't read as much as yesterday, or maybe all I could have done was just pray a little, write a prayer, and like look at like a verse or two, God is still with me in that moment. God is still with me in that moment. And once, and He would honor, and uh, He will increase whatever I plant, whatever I sow. He will make it so much more. He will make it grander than I could ever imagine, but I could ever hope for it to be. And so I just need to keep sowing every single day intentionally with that mindset of I love God and I want to know Him more, and without Him life is truly meaningless. And you know, my heart is to really just fall in love with God every single day. And it's my heart for you guys too. Like, I can't do it on my own strength. I can't say, okay, but I go in and give my whole heart to God. Like, I want to, but in order for that to be an actuality, I have to put practical things in place. But the main thing is that I have to keep coming to God every single day and saying, Lord, this is my desire. Lord, help me to honor you in every moment of my life, in every aspect of my life. Yeah? So that's answering the first question. The next question I have here is, why is quality time important? Why is quality time important with God? Why is quality time with God important? How do we wanna phrase that? And I have a couple of points here. Not a couple, a few. Okay. I was actually talking to someone yesterday. I've used the situation making a distinction between what a couple means and what a few means, what some means. You know, it's like a few is less than 10. A couple is 2. So we give me 3 and 10. I want a couple of sheets, and I hand you 2 sheets of paper and you vex with me, right? So anyways, why is quality time with God important? So first of all, it enriches our lives and brings comfort and joy. This to me was like one of the most major elements. That was like the first thing that I noticed when I really started spending time with God every single day. It's just the quality of my life drastically improved in the smallest ways. And I know that sounds like kind of like wonky in terms of drastically improved in the smallest of ways, but in terms of my level of joy and my level of comfort, it increased exponentially. But that's like a simple thing to some people. It's just like, you want to be joyful, you want to have comfort in your life, and if you really want to do that and experience those good things, we need to spend quality time with God, because that is a direct byproduct of spending time with God. Like, people would get on your nerves a little less, or you need more, they need to do more in order to get on your nerves. You see the best in every situation. And so even when I lost some footage my first time around recording this video a few days ago, and like I was just, I was rushing and trying to get through it. I was kind of not demoralized, but I was kind of sad, because I made some points and I was like, dang, I wish that I got this on camera. I wish that this was recorded and stuff like that. But I wasn't like flipping tables and being like pissed off, and I knew that is something that I could have done, in a previous time. And so it was just it was just proof to me that God is working on me as a human being, and He's working on my character and making me better. Amen. Amen. It prepares our hearts and minds for whatever the day brings. That looks into the first point. It's like, yo, bring it on, because I am ready. Whatever time of day you decide to do your quality time, I'm a nighttime person, but if during the day, like, I like to sneak in moments if I can. Yeah, it just prepares you for what's to come. It prepares your heart, it prepares your mind. And in this day and age, darlings, we need that. And that's on period. third thing is it expands our knowledge of the things of God and increases our love for Him. The more you spend time with someone that you're interested in, you start noticing the nuances and the things that they like, and realize, oh, you like those same things, and the things they don't like, you realize, oh, I don't like those things either, you know. It just changes your perspective on a lot of things. And and obviously, because you spend more time and you're talking with them and you're interacting with them in a meaningful way, you get to know more about them, and so therefore your knowledge of them increases. And it's the same thing with our relationship with God. God is our first standard for relationships, and if we don't have that relationship all the way together, we can never fully live our physical relationships to their best standard. And so it's not to say that we can't have good relationships if we don't know Jesus, but in the purest of ways, in the richest of ways, in the, like, I don't know, in the best of ways, the answer is no, we can't. And so I encourage us to focus on that me time with Jesus, that me time with God, and see how that spills over into our everyday lives with our relationships and how we interact and how we see and view people and all those things. And last but not least, it unlocks God's ever-flowing presence in our lives. And so God is with us every single day, and He is operating all the time. He is the thing that's holding this world together. If He ceased to exist, we would cease to exist instantaneously. And then if He ceased to exist, rather, if He chose to stop working, to take Himself out of the equation, all of this would just turn to ash one time. You did? And I talked about that in my video studying God's providence. And so it's important for me to be able to see God, acknowledge Him in my everyday life. And the more I spend quality time with Him, the more I know Him, the more I'm able to identify Him as I just move through my day, as I move through my life. And I see His characteristics played out before me, and it just makes me amazed, and it increases my love for Him like exponentially, and it encourages me to keep on going, because when I see those things and I see Him, it just solidifies my faith even more. It solidifies me knowing this is God, the one true God. I am following the right path, and I don't ever want to leave it. So I mean, truthfully, that's all she wrote. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this little talk about quality time, and just take intentional steps to carving out opportunities where we can have devotion, we can have meaningful quiet time with God, knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect every time, but we need to do our best to be consistent. I challenge you to do it every day and see your love for God increasing. So yeah, that's basically all she wrote, y'all. I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and obviously share with someone you think may enjoy it as well. If you'd like to connect with me more, you can send me an email, bow, and I'll be writing on the screen for you to send me an email. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, my IG handle will also be on the screen for you to follow me at. And until next time, guys, we'll keep it popping for Jesus, because truthfully, without Him, you'll be a mess, and that's not cute. Alright, guys, till next time, we'll be good.